Hello, Mark, and welcome to Nautilus News. Thank you very much for joining us. Can we start by you giving us your assessment at this time of the maritime industry's support for and treatment of its seafarers?
Right now, at this moment, to be anything other than pretty pessimistic. I mean, the security situation in the Red Sea, we've had 3 deaths on a vessel called the True Confidence. We had the Ruby Mar, which some people like to say is a British ship, but can't see any British element to it whatsoever. I think it's maybe nominally registered in a block of flats in Southampton, but that sank following an attack by allegedly by the Houthi rebels. So it's a real difficult time right now because my focus is how are we going to fix that situation? How are we going to keep our members and all seafarers safe? Our members are part of a much bigger community of key workers that keep our supply chains moving, make the world go round. No shipping, no shopping is the phrase we all got used to chanting during COVID, and it's of course very, very, very true.
You mentioned the phrase there, no seafarers, no shipping, no shopping, to highlight the importance of our maritime key workers. How confident are you that the industry is supporting seafarers?
I was quite taken by the statement that was made by the new Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, Arsenio Dominguez. He pointed out in connection with that True Confidence attack that those three seafarers lost their lives. He said seafarers must not be collateral victims, but unfortunately, whilst he's quite right, unfortunately, too often they are. There definitely seems to be this attitude that's hindered the industry for decades, perhaps always, that seafarers are just commodities to be traded, and that is really, really, really disappointing. You know, it's most depressing for me when you see it from some flag states who kind of, you know, they don't understand, or perhaps they're just not able to fulfill their responsibilities and obligations to seafarers and indeed to ship owners regarding those fundamental social and employment rights that mean that seafarers are not commodities and they should never be treated as collateral. Now, you know, there are some big problems in the industry that bedeviled the industry for decades when the seafarers don't come from the country that the flag is flying on the back of their vessel, and the ship owners don't come from those countries either. So you have that sort of jurisdictional and responsibility mess that we sometimes call it sea blindness, that because of this relationship and because of these multiple jurisdictions, that actually we're out of sight and out of mind, or sea blindness as we often refer to it as. And whilst, you know, it's easy to sort of get depressed about that state of affairs, it won't get us anywhere. It's largely a fruitless exercise to bemoan the state of the industry. I'm not saying we shouldn't try and fix it. We do have to drive home the message that shipping and seafarers, all of our maritime professionals, are key workers, and they are critical to supply chains. And most importantly, in the current context of the Red Sea situation, they are important and essential for our maritime resilience and the security of our nations. So when the IMO Secretary General speaks out, when the ILO and the IMO have redoubled their determination to cooperate, and this is sort of post-COVID, to agree a program of work within a new tripartite working group to address seafarers' issues and the human element, I think that's an important signal, and it's one that we have to grasp, and we have to, however cynical we might be, we have to engage with that and work as best as we can to advance the interests of our members. And that joint work program between IMO and ILO has already delivered some new guidelines on abandonment, because of course post-COVID that became I mean, it's never gone away, of course, but it's over 120 cases reported last year of abandonment, and we need to address that. And governments, and all parties in fact, but government in particular, need to take responsibility for ensuring that seafarers are well, not abandoned, but repatriated quickly with all their outstanding pay and their conditions fulfilled.
And can you talk a little bit about what other work is ongoing at the international level to protect seafarers?
IMO have formally, it's been talked about for quite some time, but last month they formally launched the comprehensive review of this of STCW, the Standards of Training and Certification and Watchkeeping Convention. And of course, next year will also be a meeting of the International Labour Organization's Special Tripartite Committee, which reviews and potentially amends the Maritime Labour Convention, which, again, if you subscribe as I do to the principle that sort of rising tide floats all boats, is really important for our industry, for all seafarers, for all maritime professionals. Although since it is essentially a codification of minimum standards, I think many of our members in the UK and the Netherlands and perhaps Switzerland might not necessarily have a direct connection with the MLC. Nonetheless, it is really important as that floor. And we know, and that's why we can amend it, we can advance those standards as we continuously improve the standards that fundamentally underpin decent work in the maritime industry. Throughout my tenure as General Secretary and before that, partnership with industry, I think, is really important. Of course, there's times when you need to be tough with employers, and recent times with COVID, post-COVID, and the cost of living crisis that's hit our members. There's time to be tough and strong, of course, and we have shown we can do that. But equally, I think our members and all the available evidence suggests that in the main, all things being equal, members would prefer that we have a positive relationship with their employer, work together to make sure that there's a profitable business, that it offers secure employment and the best possible working conditions for our members, that recognises their professional status, their commitment, their ongoing career, the skills updating and aspirations. So, when we get an opportunity, as we had, to be part of and to influence and have input into this new global partnership that's been created between the International Transport Workers Federation for seafarers, the International Chamber of Shipping for ship owners, and IMEC for essentially ship managers and crew managers, we seize that opportunity to support that initiative. It's built on the back of the cooperation that the industry forged during COVID, and not wanting to lose that cooperation, to build on that cooperation and advance the status of seafarers. Now, why are the employers doing that? Well, they're doing that because they know that they face, and they are facing, a recruitment and retention challenge, a very serious challenge. And they know I believe they know they have to up their game. They have to improve the status of seafarers. They need to address that sea blindness issue. They need to address those fundamental social and employment rights. And they need to be better than the minimum standards that the MLC provides. So it's something for us to encourage them to and help them on that journey, and be clear about what we think our members want in order to stay in this industry and be motivated to develop their skills and become, and advance their skills and their careers in this what I believe is a fantastic industry. There's real momentum behind that global partnership, and there's discussions ongoing about how we advance this idea of a new social contract for seafarers. You've reported it, Helen, in the Telegraph in previous editions, and so there's sort of talks going on around the detail. What does that actually mean? What do we as workers, as seafarers, as maritime professionals, what do we want that contract, that social contract, to be? And I know on the employer's side, there's talk about, well, we need to address some of those recruitment and retention issues, and what does that look like for what does a good employer do? There's one answer to that would be, you have to be minimum standards, but is that really what we expect of a good employer, or a really good employer? Let's say what differentiates between those who just want to skim the minimum or the level playing field or whatever, and those that really want to recruit the best people to offer the best terms and conditions. It all comes back to the fact that, especially highlighted during COVID, that maritime professionals, all the seafarers at sea and those who work ashore, who've transitioned to the shore part of their career, they are key workers. So we have to do more than just saying that and demanding governments do things to address that status. And of course they must. But we as an industry have to advance that. What do we mean? What needs to change? And we can only do that. We can be more effective when we do that, when we do it together with the employers. And there's a growing number of employers who want to be part of that conversation. Of course, the challenge will be that there are some employers who only want to do the minimum they could possibly can.
What is Nautilus doing to address the status of our maritime key workers and of our members?
When I think back just a few months to the general meeting that happened here in Liverpool, the big and the key theme was the just transition. And I think we're carrying out a survey, and I think we are starting to understand our own members' experience of that is different from our experience of just transition. Of course, because this is our day job, this is what we do. We advance these issues. We want seafarers to be treated fairly, responsibly, to have the skills now and the skills, most importantly, for the future. We think everybody's talking about the just transition, but actually we're talking about the just transition, and our members are saying, hey, I want the skills, I want a future, I want a secure job. I'm not sure I understand what this just transition means. So we're already starting to see that we need to engage with our members to explain what that means and why it's so important that we advance with all of our partners and all various stakeholders to make sure, as the new automation, but more importantly in the context of the just transition, the environmental changes that are coming to achieve net zero by 2050, include that human element, and that human beings, our members, maritime professionals, will have the skills to continue to fulfill their professional and career aspirations. What Nautilus members need to know is that we are living up to our strategic plan. We are influential. We are showing leadership, and we are being vocal on the issues that we know that they care about and they are passionate about. So members should have hope that Nautilus International is delivering for them.